Welcome to a new edition of our Partner Series webinars, where we highlight the Warp VR ecosystem and all the different partners that we work with. And these partners of Warp VR are experts in instructional design, media production, implementation, and these partners help our clients to build and scale immersive VR training programs and therefore achieve a better way to learn. I am Thijs de Vries, CEO at WarpVR, and today I'm joined by ArborXR, one of our software partners for mobile device management. Bradley Mortensen, partner manager at ArborXR, will tell us everything about the product, their perspective towards learning and immersive devices, and share some of the best practices. So I'm really looking forward to this talk. Thank you, Bradley, for joining, and welcome to the series. Great to have you on the show. So first of all, can you just please introduce yourself and introduce ArborXR?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on today, Thijs. It's a real honor to be here today. So Bradley Mortensen, I lead up strategic partnerships here at ArborXR, and just absolutely loved diving headfirst into the XR industry as a whole. There's so many different companies doing so many amazing things, Warp VR in particular. So I've been working partnerships in the technology industry for a decade now from all sorts of different companies, and have been thrilled to be jumping into things here at ArborXR. We focus on managing AR and VR devices here at ArborXR, as we're a mobile device management system for extended reality, where we allow for companies to deploy content, lock down and control the headset experience in and of itself, then just eliminate the complexities of an XR initiative. We're trusted by over 2,000 companies worldwide for their XR device management and content deployment needs.
That's amazing. Cool to hear. So just to dive in a little bit into kind of device management, what it is, and obviously where ArborXR really fits in. I would say device management is not necessarily a new concept. I think mobile device management software has been around for a while. Although, obviously these types of software haven't been, let's say, applied to XR, any AR VR devices. Why is ArborXR, let's say, here? Why is it necessary? Is there a special need for an MDM really pointed towards XR devices?
Yeah, great question. And mobile device management is not a new concept. There's all sorts of existing solutions that have been around for multiple decades at this point. We call those legacy device management solutions, typically focusing on phones, tablets, and laptops in particular. They have specific issues in regards to file size restriction, limited app version management, and just inadequate control over the in-headset experience when you start looking at trying to use a legacy device management solution with a virtual or augmented reality standalone headset. We have a number of aspects that we focus on in managing the headset, installing apps and files remotely, then controlling the headset experience in and of itself. We focus specifically on those virtual reality and augmented reality headsets as opposed to phones, tablets, and laptops in particular.
I see. So let's say for the clients that you actually serve, are kind of mobile phones and other types of devices also supported then, or is it actually purely XR?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the end of the day, ArborXR focuses on Android, right? So any Android standalone headset or a tablet or phone that is running Android, there is a level of management that we have. Our sweet spot are VR and AR standalone headsets that you effectively wear.
Exactly. So what are the types of questions you get from maybe prospects or clients regarding using Arbor? So what would be in your opinion kind of the best selling unique feature that you have?
Yeah, it is our dedication to virtual reality and augmented reality headsets. We work with the top manufacturers in the world of these headsets, from Meta to Pico to HTC to Lenovo to DPVR. Then on the AR side, we work with RealWear, Magic Leap,
Yeah.
and Vuzix devices, just to name a few, right? Where people come in and realize the core value proposition of Arbor is typically when they have been scratching their heads and trying to get legacy management systems to work, then realize some of the pitfalls where things that have been designed specifically for, let's say, laptop management just do not translate over to virtual reality or augmented reality. So people coming in with questions are, hey, how do we get content on these devices at scale? How do we make sure people aren't playing Beat Saber in the middle of a warehouse, right? How do we
Yeah.
lock down the experience to make sure that people truly are doing what they're supposed to? All of which we have answers for, and making sure they're going in the right direction from the minute that they pick up a headset.
I see. So would you say that people, especially if you talk about the legacy, let's say MDMs, I could imagine they could get, pretty frustrated trying to use these MDMs for VR devices and then, are like, we need this solution right now. Is that kind of the case? Are people frustrated and then coming towards your product?
Yeah, we like to think that we ease a lot of stress in terms of what we're doing. The legacy systems do a phenomenal job of making sure things are doing what they're supposed to on those laptops, phones, or tablets, right? But where we come in is really streamlining the process from an XR perspective. And we've taken a lot of attention to detail in designing the user interface, the overall flow of the product from the minute that you provision the device to the minute that you start controlling that device remotely, so that people don't have to have special certificates or training to use ArborXR. I'm confident in the fact that you can jump into our software as a service and confidently start managing those devices without having to go through extensive training or some type of school to get you up and running with our mobile device management.
Yeah, and from my experience, I can actually tell you that it's true. I mean, we are at WarpVR, we are well, maybe a bit on the other side, but we're users of ArborXR, especially because of a couple of our clients are. They're super happy with the system, so we're having the ability to push kind of our app and updates to our app, easily through ArborXR to our clients. So, and I have to say that works well. So we're super happy with that, making sure that every single one of our clients actually runs the latest versions of our software, which is important to us, and that really helps. Yeah, so talking about those use cases, I mean, we are at Warp VR, we are here helping clients with, training, better training by using VR. What kind of different use cases are you seeing for VR, AR? Kind of what type of clients do you have, and what are they trying to solve, let's say, with XR devices?
Excellent question. And it really is across the board. In general, we see a lot of hard skills training where you can't light a warehouse on fire and safely put your employees in there. In virtual reality, you can. It's an amazing place where failure is an option. You can't put employees that have never been in a confined space, like maybe they're working in a sewer or wherever they may be, or have them work on an electrical panel with live electricity. In virtual reality, you can. So we have hundreds of companies that focus on hard skills training and making sure people are safely able to fail in an environment where they can learn and understand what the outcomes are before doing the real thing. It gives them an opportunity to play around. It gives them an opportunity to feel safe in an environment that's not real but feels real. And just as much as we have hard skills training scenarios that companies work with, we also see a lot of soft skills training, whether that's HR compliance. The traditional method is sit down at a computer, watch a video, and pray that your employees don't watch Netflix on their phone, right? When they're in virtual reality, you can give them an experience that's meaningful, relatable to them, and feels like real life, real world. Not to mention HR compliance, just dealing with unruly customers. Again, putting them in virtual reality or augmented reality gives them the opportunity to interact in a way that's meaningful, that feels real, that also allows for training to take place. You mentioned it specifically with Warp VR. Hundreds of companies that produce content also use ArborXR for distributing that content to their customers, just as Warp VR does, in making sure the latest updates, so on and so forth, are in the hands of customers in and of itself.
So I heard you talking about learning quite a lot. You know, you mentioned the building on fire. Would you say that training learning is kind of the biggest use case what you're currently seeing in
Yeah,
Arbor in related to AR VR?
absolutely. I have this fun cartoon that I watched as a kid. It was called Magic School Bus, right? The Magic School Bus traveled to all sorts of different places that were too dangerous, too expensive, or just impossible to go to. So, following the Magic School Bus principle, right? That's what we see people do in a training environment. Again, things
Yeah,
that are too expensive or too dangerous. A company in particular that we work with, Axon, they focus on de-escalation for police officers, right?
yeah,
They manage hundreds of headsets all over the United States in very, very stressful, unsafe situations they put into virtual reality. And what we have 81.4% of officers feel better prepared after using Axon's training, specifically reported by the Phoenix Police Department.
cool. Yeah, I think we can Warp VR. We're seeing similar effects of people indeed being more engaged when seeing interacting with this training content way more in comparison to any e-learning or maybe any classroom training could ever bring. Uh, Not to mention indeed let's say the fact that you cannot be disturbed. You're wearing the VR headset. That's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not watching any Netflix. Indeed, that's really the training you're in. And what we're also seeing, I think that's very powerful, is the actual, let's say, primary response of people. Especially in these high impact VR training scenarios where
Mm-hmm.
let's say there is indeed a building on fire. What are you going to do? And you want to have that primary response. What it's fight, flight, or freeze. That's kind of in your nature how you would respond, and it might probably not be the best response. So you need to practice, and that's really what you can do with the VR training. And bringing people as close to reality as possible, and then you know, um, and then failing. Maybe you just mentioned failure is an option. I wrote it down. I like it. I mean, eventually,
Failure
that's
is an
really what it
option.
is, right? You want people. Well, you don't want them to fail, but if they fail in the VR training, it's at least not too expensive and it's safe. And through the failure, they can absolutely learn. I think that's a very powerful principle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. So also getting a little bit to the let's say the practical side. Most probably we have some clients listening. Maybe we've got some prospects listening even. Um, let's say we have a new client. They're starting with Warp VR. Let's say they're purchasing 20, 30, 40 VR headsets. They really decide to use an MDM. We told them probably use an MDM will make your life a lot easier. What would be the first steps, let's say, for this new client to take in order to start using Arbor as an MDM for all these devices?
Yeah, I'm glad that you're suggesting use an MDM upfront, because many of our customers come to us and don't realize the necessity of an MDM. It's not like it's too late when people find us. It's just the amount of hair that they've pulled out can be fairly significant over time.
Yeah,
So with that, it's quite simple to get started with ArborXR. We have a 30-day trial, really, where you can try before you buy and get signed up and using ArborXR very, very quickly and very easily. I'm so confident on the easy side, right? We also provide implementation specialists, right, at standby and ready to help people really get guided down their XR initiative and their XR journey. We have a strong philosophy that a rising tide lifts all boats. So working with a company like Warp VR, like yourself, Dice, we're proud and confident to be able to come in and show how easily they can get Warp VR content on the headsets that they have, whether it's one, whether it's 1,000, whether it's 10,000. It's irrelevant to us. We're here to see that XR initiative be lifted off the ground, working hand in hand with content providers and producers, specifically like Warp VR, to make sure that you're going in the right direction from the get-go. More often than not, people go to a big box store and buy a MetaQuest 2 and realize the impact that it could have within their organization, right? They're not necessarily thinking about how do we manage this at scale. So that's where we're here to help. And again, working with a company like Warp VR, we're thrilled and excited to make sure that they're successful from the minute that they put on that headset and start receiving that content to when they start wanting to scale. So that 30-day trial absolutely comes with full access to implementation specialists, to our knowledge-based articles, to countless videos, and understanding where you can actually talk to a real person to help get your XR initiative off the ground.
Cool. So I can totally see that people, indeed are pulling hairs even before getting to know Arbor and getting an MDM as a solution. Do you think
Right.
that will change over time, let's say, with the maturity of VR and AR and how people kind
Yeah.
of, approaching this?
Yeah, I do. I think right now it's so wild, wild west. There's countless amount of people. I have many friends that work in the tech industry that have never even tried on a standalone headset. Then you have companies that have hundreds, if not thousands of headsets in deployment. So there's this massive
Yeah.
disparity between someone that has only seen an advertisement on YouTube for a virtual reality headset to those using virtual reality headsets or augmented reality on a daily basis. When things start coming in the middle, we expect to see more of an understanding. But right now, we're still in early days, and that's where working together, we know that everyone can have a better experience, and that's our main goal in working with Warp VR is to have the MDM conversation sooner, so that that XR initiative can be launched in a rocket ship trajectory as opposed to failed at launch.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, eventually this is kind of an ecosystem approach, right? I mean, that's I think what you mentioned, uh, and the same for us. I mean, eventually we kind of need to stick together, let's say, and indeed with the maturity and the rise of VR and XR in enterprise and any business, um, it's kind of a package deal, right? I mean, eventually it's hardware, it's software, it's device management, it's everything together in order to make it successful. Um, okay, then I think we discussed our kind of the practicalities, almost kind of the use cases. Also interested in kind of a little bit more a glance, let's say, into the future. Arbor is a mobile device management system. We know you can make sure app updates are being installed, content is getting pushed. We've got stuff like kiosk mode, which our clients love. One of the, well, not so much first reasons, I guess, to get an MDM, but it's for them, it's quite an important one. So just looking a little bit into the maybe near future, maybe a little bit longer. What can you tell us on Arbor and where you guys are headed?
Yeah. So overall vision is to give people time back. So it's kind of an interesting concept in a world that is focused on screen time, especially in the technology world. We have a little bit of a different philosophy in making sure people have more time with real people and less time in front of the screen. So that means we're dedicated in making our solution as quick and easy as possible. So you will see, from a hardware perspective, continued efforts to make things as streamlined as possible with all the many fantastic OEMs out there. There's all sorts of releases of new headset, what seems to be on a weekly basis these days, right? And it's our goal to be as agnostic as possible with all those different headsets. One of the things that you'll see coming out here in the very near future is the more in-depth management of AR solutions. Where VR is in early days, AR is even further in earlier days. But we absolutely believe in the rocket ship trajectory of AR in particular. So you'll see all sorts of new functions and features within ArborXR, helping manage those AR devices in particular as well. It continues to be our goal to help people scale XR use and just to make a positive impact as a whole. So from a product perspective, we still have that continued dedication in making sure we're going in the positive direction and making things easier to use, making devices provisioned quicker and easier, and making AR devices more tangible and approachable from an enterprise and education perspective as well.
Let's see. Yeah, and I think also with the recently released XR directory, I think that's very interesting as well, where people starting maybe from Arbor but interested in kind of multiple applications, for different use cases, can actually browse and take a look into whatever partners other vendors have to offer.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. The XR directory that we have is a fantastic opportunity for people really to truly get their feet wet and understanding what's available and what's out there. In complementary to the fantastic services that Warp VR offers, there's a lot of people scratching their heads thinking, what's next, right? There's a lot of people that do start with hard skills or soft skills, but there's a tremendous amount of applications out there that focus around stress relief, whether it's timed breathing, relaxation, meditation, you name it, to other hard skills or authoring tools that allow you to customize and change what's actually happening, whether it be in real time or create your own experiences and initiatives. Not to mention the directory, what's coupled with that is the largest demo repository of enterprise-ready solutions with ArborXR as well. So within that 30-day trial and with the continued use of Arbor, you have access to over 20 different solutions that are available to try out right away, whether it be a snippet or an extended experience, where as opposed to Beat Saber that comes installed with the device, you can learn how to work a multimeter to test things safely in an electrical safety room.
Yeah, I think that's super exciting. Also for us, in order to be there, and indeed for companies, people out there interested in using Warp VR, they can already get that first interest in what it is that we have to offer, and then directly see that in combination with ArborXR, as a full suite, so to say.
Absolutely.
All right. I think we kind of approached the end of just a few questions. Just a quick insight into kind of ArborXR as an MDM, and how it could work with Warp VR. Um, Thank you, Bradley, for giving us that insight in what ArborXR is, to manage and deploy VR headsets, also AR headsets. I would say, for everybody who's listening, if you want to know more about ArborXR, maybe MDMs in general, of course, Warp VR, go to our website, warpvr.com, or contact me directly by sending me an email to tights@warpvr.com, and I'm happy to forward any questions for ArborXR, obviously, to them. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me.